Hey guys, welcome back. In today's video, let me explain to you why I was bearish on Tesla in the short term and how this has helped me to protect and hedge my portfolio and save me 18k in losses. So basically I use options to sell call. So for me right now, I've used my shares as collateral on selling call option, and this has helped me generate $14,000 to $18,000 of free cash depending on the premiums extracted on the expiry. So today I will explain to you why I made this decision and why I'm bearish on Tesla in the short term. And today I will illustrate on my iPad why I'm bearish on Tesla in the short term. So let's understand from fundamental truths. What is going on with Tesla? We are now entering a multipolar world. Multipolar world means that the world is no longer led by a single order, which is United States previously. Now the world is split into regional influence: the US, EU, Russia and China. So Russia and Ukraine are raw materials and resource-rich nations. So what happens when they have a war is that cost of energy, food, other raw materials like lithium, nickel, all increases like crazy. Lithium and nickel can be made into batteries. So lithium and nickel can be made into batteries, and these batteries are for Tesla EVs. So for your LFP, your lithium iron phosphate. So for your LFP, your lithium iron phosphate is to made into Model 3, and why? Your nickel manganese cobalt is to be made into your semis, which is your heavier duty trucks. If the cost of lithium and nickel increases, what happens is the cost of goods sold, or the cost of producing a single unit of car, is increased. So cost of goods sold increases, and this will affect profit margin. So Tesla solved this problem by passing on the cost to consumers. So initially there was an increase in car price, but what is getting worse? Inflation getting out of hand because of easy money policy, low interest rate, money printing. So the Federal Reserve have reversed action. They are now increasing interest rates, and this will have a spillover effect of slowing down money velocity because people are less incentivized to borrow money. Because people are less incentivized to borrow money, because the cost of borrowing increase. And this will lead to a shrinking money supply. This means that the total money supply shrink because the world is mainly made of credit. People borrow lesser, there will be lesser money going around the economy, and this is why money velocity slows. And this will destroy demand itself, and this causes lower demand of cyclical goods. Now the increase in interest rates also lead to one thing: the amount of years of earnings you are willing to pay a company comes down. You're less willing to pay high multiples for a company. Means the valuation come down. So let's connect the dots together. Raw material price increases, means your COGS increases, your cost of goods sold increases, the cost of producing a single unit of car increases. You have high interest rate environment. So when you have high interest rate environment, PE ratio come down. Demand slows, aka demand destruction. Because who is going to pay high interest rate on a premium vehicle? So raw material is your nickel and lithium. So what happened before this crisis was that this is the cost of goods sold. Your battery costs, your manufacturing costs. Your cost of goods sold is about 70%. Your gross profit is about 30%. And what happens after is that there's increase in nickel and lithium, there is demand slow. So if after Tesla has to reduce the price, price reduction, so your revenue down, revenue down. So because of price reduction, revenue goes down, expenses increases, profit margin decreases. So your cost of goods sold increases. So your price went down. So this is your price drop. This is your cost of goods sold. And this is your profit margin. And if we connected the dots together, so what will happen to Tesla's stock price? If institutional and market sees that Tesla margin, profit margin, or Tesla's profitability goes down, and money is extremely selective in this environment because of high interest rates. There is extreme fear in the market because of QT, quantitative tightening, liquidity crunch, there's also risk of Twitter because Twitter is a digital town square for free speech. Elon advocates for free speech. And guess who is the advocate against free speech? It is China. And China has the most hardworking and efficient workforce for Tesla's Gigafactory. So what is my conclusion for all this? Is that Tesla's risk has significantly increased because of Twitter. There are more downside. It is time to diversify for me because the risk has significantly increased. There's a multipolar world and people may offend each other and things may not go so well. So my options play is lean towards bearish. So either I choose between buying put or selling call. You can hedge, short, reduce Tesla long position. Now let me quickly explain my theoretical options play. Now let's say for example you have 1,000 shares at $200. You decided to take profit or cut loss of 200 shares and you hold 800 shares. Now this 200 shares is converted into cash. Now this $200 is converted into cash and you decided to use it to buy put or you short the market. So let's say in the scenario that this happens, scenario A happened. So let's say scenario A happened. You redeem from $200 you drop to 160. So there's a $40 drop. So your short profited is $40 times 200 shares times delta, which is the rate of price change minus time decay equals your profit. Now this $200 was converted into, now this $200 times 200 shares was 40,000. Now this $200 times 200 share was 40,000 USD, initially converted to cash. So if you profited from doing this, you will have more excess cash probably about 65,000. Estimate to buy back the shares at 160 USD. So if you do the math and you divide 65,000 by 160, so you get about 460 shares. So you get about 460 shares of extra going. So what are the risks going from 1,000 to 1,460 shares? So what are the risks associated with going from 1,000 to 1,460 shares potentially? Remember that you initially cut your shares to 800, so you're risking 200 shares to convert them to buy put. So your risk is about 200 shares in potential for additional 460 shares. So this is how I think about things sometimes, and I always ask myself, is it worth it? Is it worth it? The options is therefore a probability game. Okay, so the question is always, is it worth it? And therefore I always say that options is a probability game. Okay, with that, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't. Thank you, and I'll see you next week.